The Spirit is alive and well even today, moving powerfully, often on the margins, moving and waiting for an open space to move deeply into personal lives, to move deeply into faith communities like Fort Street, stirring things up, igniting a flame within us, giving new passion and power to make us partners with God in the sacred work before us. What will happen as our fear gives way to boldness, as paralyzing self-doubt and self-deprecation are transformed into the realization of our own personal power, into the power we have when we live in genuine community? When each one of us lets the light of God shine forth in our lives and we join these strands of light together in community, the Fort Street beacon will beam brightly for all to see. The curious will come in wonderment. The seekers will stay to experience that beacon of Pentecostal power and passion emanating from Fort and Third. Then I started wondering, where should we focus our beacon of light? The Presbyterian's Youth Mission Blast held their closing worship Friday morning right here in the sanctuary. The theme for this year's Mission Blast, this 2 weeks of mission in Detroit, was Let Your Light Shine. And last week, Fourth Presbyterian in Chicago was here, a large group from one of our really big churches. And their youth posted daily Facebook entries describing their activities and interactions during the day and their reflections on their experiences in the evening. With their permission, I read from this past Tuesday's entry. This was perhaps the best single day of work that we've experienced over the past 5 years of senior high work camps. Everyone had something constructive to do. Everyone worked hard. No one complained or slacked off. We all felt like we were contributing to something important. It was incredible to watch. It was incredible to experience. Our reflections during devotions are also hitting on all cylinders. We are doing a lot of thinking about the rebuilding of Detroit as we study the biblical stories of exile, return, and the rebuilding of Jerusalem. Our thoughts are also drawn to our home context of Chicago. What is God calling us to rebuild at home? How can we become more involved in urban farming back home? Even with some of the curves in the road, this has been a wonderful mission experience. God is with us in Detroit. God is stirring up our hearts. These young people, here for only 1 week, feel the Spirit stirring in this city. They sense the urgency of rebuilding Detroit and a rebuilding that is gaining momentum and energy, often found in the margins at the grassroots level. What is Fort Street's role in this Detroit? What does it mean for Fort Street to be a spiritual beacon as the movement to rebuild Detroit gains momentum? Front page news in last Tuesday's Free Press. There was the headline, U.S. puts faith in Bing renewal plan. Federal experts are going to help build mayor's vision. The article announced Detroit as one of the 6 cities nationwide to receive federal experts in transportation, healthcare, housing, and jobs. As priorities are set for federal spending to help Detroit turn around the economy and redefine itself. Of key interest in attracting this federal initiative is the possibility of building light rail along Woodward and targeting development in selected neighborhoods. What is Fort Street's role in this Detroit? What does it mean for Fort Street to be a spiritual beacon with resources coming into the city reeling from ruin, readying itself to rise from the ashes like the phoenix into a different and new way of being? Right beside this article on the front page was a story about a family who tried to flee as a neighborhood fight escalated, but their car wouldn't start, so they ran back inside. A half hour later, the family's 3-year-old toddler was dead. shot by a stray bullet through their front window. The fourth Detroit child, 10 or younger, to become a homicide victim this year. The 45th since 2006. What is Ford Street's role in this Detroit? What does it mean for Ford Street to be a spiritual beacon in a city where children whose lives have hardly begun are not safe in their homes and the threat of violence is ever present in their neighborhood? 10 days ago, in the New York Times was an article about the influx of young people into Detroit. We hear about Detroit's 25% decline in population in the past 10 years. But have you read the different, more intriguing part of the last census? During these same 10 years, downtown Detroit experienced a 59% increase in college-educated residents under 35 years of age. Much larger growth of this demographic than 2/3 of this country's largest 51 cities. What is Ford Street's role in this Detroit? What does it mean for Ford Street to be a spiritual beacon as creative, gifted young adults who are socially aware and who are making personal and professional decisions that benefit Detroit move into our neighborhood, our Ford Street neighborhood, looking for places to belong, places where they can make a difference? My word to you this morning is, let your light shine, Ford Street. Be a spiritual beacon in the heart of downtown Detroit, all of Detroit, and shine brightly. Allow the divinity planted firmly and securely in the core of your being to glow. Hear the call to come partner with God in this amazing sacred work. Claim the transformational power experienced on Pentecost, a power not limited to one point in time, but perhaps experienced differently in 2011 in Detroit by those walking the Jesus way. If, as I said last week, it takes courage to risk following the Jesus way on this divine sacred journey, it also takes the creative spirit of the divine sustaining us for the journey, empowering us to be a transforming force where we now find ourselves in the world. We will discover the sacred work we are called to do as we pay attention to the divine light of the Spirit moving in our midst and burning deeply in our hearts, igniting our passions, giving clarity and form to our dreams. We will find the power to stay the course as we boldly claim the image of God abiding powerfully within us, waiting for us to recognize and to live fully into our true identity, not only as beloved children of God, but as true partners with God in divine sacred work. As we let go of fear, feeling the power of God's image within us, allowing the flame of Pentecostal power emanating from deep within us to break out into the world, we really will be a spiritual beacon in Detroit, drawing others into our midst, brightly shining as a welcoming, guiding light to all seeking safe harbor. Thanks be to God. Amen.